I just wanted to pop.
Very good, thank you. Welcome to the Westford DEI committee meeting for March 28th at 7 p.m. We're going to call to order. Everybody should know that this is being recorded via Zoom. The first thing we always do, or lately, we're going to continue to do is land acknowledgement, and then we'll move right to open forum. I'll read the land, unless somebody else wants to read it.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
I have no idea. I went to the school building in front. I took clueless.
Oh,
Yeah.
we actually were telling stories about how we've all gone to different places
Oh my God.
for different meetings. So the land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that we gather in Westford on the traditional land of the Nipmuc peoples, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people that stewarded it throughout the generations. Great, thank you. All righty, why don't we move to open forum, and then we'll move to updates. I think we have at least one open forum item. Anybody have a forum?
I do if nobody else has anything.
So I was at a meeting with the school committee, school subcommittee on policy last week. And the school committee have received a request from the community to name the press box on the Westford Academy field. And we have a policy in place that kind of says in order to do that, for any naming structure, any naming, be it a structure or building, we are supposed to gather or form a group to kind of review the request, have a discussion, and make a recommendation then to the district. And so as we were discussing kind of setting up this form, and it's the first time since this policy was approved that we've ever acted upon it. So we were kind of working through the logistics, and one of the suggestions that came up in the discussion when we were discussing about having a person from the community, from town community, be part of that group. The suggestion was made that we actually invite a member from the DEI team to be kind of that member on the forum review group. We don't have a name for it. So if there's anybody who's interested in doing it, I don't know what kind of commitment. I assume it's really probably a meeting, one meeting at most. I'm going to say two, just in case, you never know. And I'm assuming it would probably take part within school hours or just after. Because obviously Dan Toomey, being the principal, would also have to be involved. And so we would typically keep those meetings within kind of his workday. So I don't know if you want to give your names to Joe or Anjali, and, you know, between you guys kind of decide who might like to represent DEI on that group. Hopefully it's not a big thing. We're not having to like choose a person. The request has been made to name it after a person, and it would really just be for the group to kind of go through the policy. Does it kind of meet the policy? Do we agree? So don't worry if the day ever comes that we need to choose something to name after someone, we will definitely have a much bigger process. But
So there's a formal process for submittal of the naming of a structure.
Yeah, so we're not picking the person. Somebody has come and suggested that we name the press box after this particular person, all of which will remain nameless for now until the group is formed and they've met and stuff.
Well, I know I'm speaking on behalf of the committee. We appreciate the opportunity to bring perspective. I probably have a right perspective, but at least perspective from this community. And folks want to do this.
I would volunteer to do that. I have 3 kids, all were 3 seasoned athletes.
That's right.
And we're, haven't had anyone in the school since 2016, so
Yeah. Awesome. So I don't know if there's anyone else, or if Joe, you want to kind of give me the formal.
Sure, I can send you a note.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't think we need to take a vote on it.
No.
I think we're good. Thank you, Mary Claire.
Awesome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll, great.
Thanks a million for that, guys.
So thank you for bringing it up. We appreciate it. All right. Any other items for open forum? Anybody on the screen or anybody here? Very good. Well, let's move on then to updates. We've got several updates, which may not take a long time, and then we have some new business. The first update, as you can see in the agenda, is that town meeting was postponed, first to May 4th and then to April 27th. And it was almost, and I mean this in the best possible way, it was like an embarrassment of riches. So many people arrived that the clicker supply was not enough to cover the 1,900 people estimated there, 1,600, which is a good thing. And I think if Andrea were here, I'm sure she would say what she said to some of us when we left, and that is that it's probably issue-based when it comes to that kind of a crowd, that it may not indicate that sort of a regular non-override town meeting would garner 1,900 people.
Is that what they think they had?
I think based on
26, 1,600.
No, 1,600 was the max.
Capacity.
But I'm
Then
wondering how many extra were trying to get
How
in.
many actually were, they just said a couple hundred were on their way and
Yeah.
they couldn't put them in.
Wow,
So it would have been probably at least 18.
yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing happened at Groton on Tuesday night.
So
So
also
same
tax,
thing.
was it also tax override?
Tax overrides postponed, rich capacity, and I think they had about 1,100.
But it's interesting, I mean, I've been to town meetings before when overrides were part of the agenda, and it didn't come close. I mean, we were in
Yeah.
Abbott, and
Yeah.
it still wasn't full, and
Yeah.
it was packed, but not
Yeah,
at capacity, so this is.
this is unprecedented.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah.
Unprecedented, never happened before.
Yeah. But I don't think they've ever had an override as big. That's the other side of it.
Yeah, and I mean, it does, I think, it is a little bit about issue-based, response. But I think as well, it's good that they're ready for a larger than usual, maybe going forward. You know, people, and it's good. I think people in Westford are engaged, and that's a good thing. So the articles there were 22 articles, that would have been taken up, and of course, a lot of them had to do with the budget, with the override. There was one related to MBTA communities, which I think garnered some interest on both sides. And then there was Article 22, which was related to Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day, which will also be taken up on the 27th. And everybody knows that we will offer a friendly amendment to make the second Monday of October both Indigenous Peoples Day and Italian American Heritage Day, in response to lots of conversations, but also to a suggestion by Chris Barrett, who was a select board member, that be sort of the compromise. And this board, as you remember, approved that, and that's what we've offered, and we'll be offering. Any other observations about town meeting before we move on to Acton Westford Pride event, which also is a very interesting summary, and we're moving forward. All right, then we'll move on to that update. Wendy, do you mind?
Sure. So I'm pleased to say that Anjali and Joe met with the DEI director, Bichugi over at Acton. And they had a great conversation. We're able to bring the towns together on that, and I'm working out the details with folks to get that done. On April 9th, I will be presenting a check made out to Acton for $2,500, which is the cost.
To the select, to this select board.
To our select board, right.
Yeah.
You fundraise that, your group?
Yes.
That's great.
Yes, yes. So there is a lot of interest in the town and in having a pride event, and we are very pleased with that. We will also have a flag raising on the same day, which is June 15th. That was approved by the select board. And
Also the banner.
the banner, there will be a banner in front of, the only available space was Abbott School, because there's so many banners going on. So there will be a banner advertising Acton Westford Pride 2024.
And the town seal, of course, which was approved.
Yeah, the town seal will be on the advertisement for the event.
Which is June 15th at Narrow Park, right?
Yep, and town committees are welcome to come and have tables. And tables are free as long as you have a family-friendly activity at your table. Can be any kind of family-friendly activity. Just want to get the youth involved and just have a great day, and hopefully the weather is nice and we're able to have a lot of fun.
You never know.
And the time again, Wendy, is it?
So it's 12 to 3
It is.
on June 15th.
Wendy, if folks wanted to have a table, certainly DEI would, but other folks that are in this committee that are associated with other groups, would they reach out to you?
Yeah, please reach out to me and I will be, I just got the form yesterday on helping to solicit people to come and have tables and join in.
Great, thanks.
So I want to thank Joe and Anjali and the whole committee for your support.
Oh. Our pleasure, it's really important.
And I mean, kudos to you. You just spearheaded this whole thing. You're the one that made it happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sincerely, thank you.
Yeah, Wendy has really led the way, presented to the select board at least a couple times. We were very happy to talk to the town of Acton. It became something that it became important to the town of Acton, that it be a town to town event, which, in the end, I think that's great, because it sort of set the precedent, or give us, if you will, practice when it comes to working with other towns.
Yeah.
So the contract will be between Westford and Acton. And Kristen advised that Wendy gift the resource to Westford officially at the April 9th select board meeting. And then that will be then from Westford provided to the town. And that'll probably all be outlined in the contract. What I'll do now is update Melissa, who is the recreation director. And that this is sort of the next, we told her this would probably happen. So that it is on the way, and that she could expect that, and I'll just check on the status of the contract. Will you be working with, is it when you go, as you approach the date a little more intensely, a little more?
I think I'll be mostly working with Melissa, who is the recreation director, because we both do sort of the nuts and bolts people once things are, and she will make sure she gets approvals on her side if she needs to, or anything.
We'll have a meeting in April.
Sorry to interrupt. What
Go
are you
ahead.
saying?
Go ahead.
I was just going to recommend, Wendy, as far as any communication that goes out that is concerned, either on Facebook or marketing material, how we want to publicize this event and help the town of Acton. So before we do any communications, whether it's through Facebook or whatever we are doing, if we can plan it out on a document and then send it to Melissa to look at it, I think it will help us to be on the same page, and then they will expect what we plan to do. How do you want to contribute? Not only in the sponsorship of the event, but also in the communications and doing the publicity of the event. Then that will really truly show the partnership. So is it possible for you to put something in the document when and what you plan to do and share with her and us?
She is going to be giving me the flyer. She's going to she's asked for the Westford Town Seal so she can put it on. So
Yeah.
she will actually be creating all the materials for marketing and providing them to me.
And did she make it any clear that does she want us to put it on the Facebook or no?
I believe she's fine with that, but I can double check.
Yeah, I think we should ask her if and when and what we can share through our Facebook pages and how we can help them.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's a really good point, Anjali, related to marketing. So we can work on some of those details too. In fact, we could post flyer or a link flyer at our part of the webpage, or we could ask the request, and we can work in other ways to highlight it.
Okay.
Very good. Any other comments, suggestions? Wendy?
Yes, I just want to thank Wendy for all her hard work as the parent of a gay adult child. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat. Yeah, and so the minutes will ask to reflect our appreciation and gratitude to Wendy for her initiative. Absolutely. And you're taking the minutes, so.
And the pressure for Wendy and the minutes.
And we thank you for that. All right, anything else on that topic? We good for now? All right. The next item under updates is the multicultural calendar status. As Seema said, and Angela, you might have some information about what Seema said last time, that it's basically been accomplished. But now I guess we're in a position to update as we go, or to refine or correct. Angela, do you have any other updates about the calendar?
The calendar, I think Seema is Seema in the room or on the call?
She's not, no.
Okay, that's okay. I believe that there were some events that few months that were still left behind, and Wendy was working on them, and she was able to help us catch up with all of those months. I believe last time did Seema provide the update that they are all completed until the end of December, as far as I remember. Is that what she said?
That's what I recall, yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't really met after that because we were in a good place and we were focused on many other activities going on for our committee. But that's something that I will take it on with the working group in the next couple of weeks so that we can work on the January 2025 until the summertime. So I think it will be helpful to always be on a rolling calendar of 12 months if we can have that in the system.
Yep, and I'll be mentioning this later, but if we're going to be able to provide Juneteenth local information for folks on how they can celebrate. That might, I don't want to overwhelm the calendar, but I know we also had an interest in making local events available, easily available. So that might be something that we talk about on an
I
ongoing
think that is
basis.
a very good point, Wendy, because we did talk about that creating a calendar is the first step. And secondly, if we come across any events that happens to celebrate certain holidays, then we should include either the links with those activities right there. So for example, if I click on a link, it should take me to a page or information site where those are being celebrated. So let's say if the Juneteenth is being celebrated somewhere, then on this calendar, we should have a link that will take us to a place or a page where there are more details on the celebrations. We can talk about offline as a working group. I think these are some really good points that you are talking about, and as a reminder as well.
In the Acton Westford Pride also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, likewise.
Okay, anything else on the calendar?
I don't have anything else on the calendar, Wendy. You were deeply involved and you have made some good points still. Anything else comes to your mind at this point, Wendy?
No, nothing else? No?
Cynthia is on the call. Cynthia was deeply involved as well. Cynthia, anything else that you want to contribute?
No, not now.
Okay, thank you. So here it is. I mean, we provided whatever we had, Joe.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the town hiring working group. Say over the past 6 months, the town hiring working group was able to support some hiring that Kristen was engaged in. A few of us were participated. I've forgotten exactly who was at which interview, but the committee included Wendy, you're on the committee, actually. I am, Scott, Anita, and Madonna, I believe. And what are, you're not, no, I keep on volunteering you, no, sorry. But what we will do, what we'll promise Kristen is that we'll get back together with her, sort of assess how we're doing, and then plan for the next opportunity. She herself is interested in support related to getting the best possible, the most diverse possible pool, along with refining the questions and other parts of the process. So we're gonna do that. If anybody has suggestions along those lines, please let us know, given anybody's past experience with hiring.
So I just have one point to add to the hiring, is that last time when we talked about how to make the hiring managers or the teams as more inclusive and incorporate more inclusive hiring practices. And keeping that in mind, I had reached out to, I believe, Kristen a week ago or maybe earlier this week, but I don't see any response from Kristen as yet. And of course, Kristen is going through 1,000 things right now, and maybe she hasn't really seen my email. So I'm going to follow up with her and see if she or if Pam, who's the HR manager, can share any documentation, training program, or links, or whatever they utilize that will give us a little bit of insight on what is the current practice today. Let's say if I'm a hiring manager and I open up a rec, but I have never hired anybody in the past, I don't have an experience. Or even if I do, I haven't hired somebody in the past 5 years, 10 years, and I'm not familiar with current trends, or I do not know what exactly inclusive hiring practice is there a training that people can take, which is called as, sometimes in the corporate sector, it's called as conscious inclusion training, which is not really a big training. It's 15-20 minutes video that reminds you as a manager to keep the biases away and focus on the objectivity when you're interviewing. So I need to find out from the town if we have any resources in place already. And if we don't have it, then can we reach out to, can we figure out and have a plan if there's a tool that's cheap but still does the work and can help us? So we'll figure out as a team together, but right now we are in the assessment phase of what exists today.
What you mentioned, what did you call it? Conscious inclusion? Is that what you said?
Yeah, conscious inclusion.
Okay.
Or removing unconscious bias. It could, there are various names that trainings are called with in many corporates.
Okay, thank you. Well, why don't we do our best to check in with Kristen between now and the next meeting? That seems appropriate, Anjali?
I'll send her an email right in the moment so that I don't forget.
Okay, very good. Certainly understanding she is busy. Anything else on that?
I have some notes I need to write up from, just my interview and discussion that we had, because there were a couple of missteps that I saw with the way questions were written and answered, and Kristen.
Couple teachable moments.
Yeah, yeah, where you're doing town hiring and you have people who are mentioning people in certain positions, it becomes evident who that person is, and other people in the room might know that person. So if you perchance mentioned something that might possibly be negative about another person, it is seen by the panel as a lack of confidentiality. So Kristen and I realized we could avoid that by prefacing the question to mention
So you
a
did- you
person
did
of
chat
a
with
high
Kristen.
ranking.
You should chat with her about it.
Yeah, and she said, if we just preface the question with, don't give positions or names, but just say a person of a high ranking. And that's something, I think that's very simple to do, to put in the question, but something neither of us had thought about until we saw it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Encountered it.
Yeah, and the person had very good intentions. They were
Yeah,
being truthful.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like a natural part of whatever they were setting up.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah,
So that's some really important feedback, and you have other pieces of feedback.
some
like
other,
that, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
things that we talked about that I'd like to put into the committee pool.
Yeah, that's great. I know that she appreciates it.
Yeah.
Any other observations or questions?
what do we expect the volume to be of requests for how many different hiring panels?
That's a good question, and we probably should get a better sense from Kristen, but she said that there will be opportunities because there are going to be some changes with positions to the staff structure. But I can find out. It sounds like what you're saying is we should
Be good to scope it
get
out.
the sense.
Is
of
there a
it.
certain level and above that where we're being?
We agree that we would want to we would be most effective if it was sort of the manager level or the department head level.
Department head or above? Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I believe there's a hiring freeze right now.
Wasn't pretty much.
Mhm.
Until the
Joe,
override.
I would like to correct myself. I think that the email that I was just talking about, that I have sent it to Kristen, actually it was still lying in my outbox somehow. It did not go out. I don't know.
It disappeared.
It was in our outbox, it didn't go.
Oh, gosh.
So I just want to clarify that it didn't make it to her, and that's why I didn't get any response, just to confirm.
Okay, and then.
Thank you. I know that happens.
Clarification to get.
That's
Rather
right.
she didn't respond, right?
That's documented. in the
Let the
notes.
record reflect for sure.
Let the records show.
Yep.
She would have responded, probably.
I know, that happens. All right, thank you. All right, so it sounds like we've got a couple steps to take with that group. Great, thanks. All right, want to move on to the podcast. We're going to try to set one up for the end of April. It'll be the Thursday after our next meeting, which is on the 24th. We've gone through this cycle of getting to know members. John was one, back there was one. We interviewed Patrick Fear on neurodiversity. So we have a choice. This time the sequence would be for another member who we would get to know. But let me ask you, do you think, and believe me, I know that the podcast is not listened to by thousands and thousands of people, but it's an opportunity for us to talk a little bit about, the Pride events and Pride, the celebration. And it would be at our website. Certainly, we can steer people to the link at our website. We can even let people know about that. Is the end of April too soon? Does it seem okay to you to have a conversation about all of your work?
It seems maybe a little soon, but the next opportunity would be end of May. Is that, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be probably more, we'll have fleshed out by then. I'll have more interesting things to talk about.
Oh, right, because things, some will be coming together.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
I agree with that. I think it'll
Yeah.
stay fresh in people's mind if
Yeah.
it's closer.
Mhm. Yeah, becomes a marketing awareness as
absolutely.
well.
So you're saying April 25th would work then, or if you think it's still too early?
I think May.
May.
Oh, May, end of May then.
Yeah.
If we're doing it monthly,
I think we
yeah.
can, we don't have to stick to that schedule, that is the end of the month, maybe we can do something toward the middle. And you can tell me if you think that there's enough going on, just so I wanna, make sure that the timing is such that it get a chance to get information out there, but, if May seems better, let's plan on that.
Okay,
All right, so
so
we'll see.
what will the April, cover, because I believe our cultural calendar says that it is, Jewish awareness or, month. I'm just gonna check it out.
Oh, is it Holocaust?
Jewish American Heritage Month in May. So I was wondering if that would be an appropriate, since I did look at our calendar, our cultural calendar,
There you go.
and that, that would be something of interest. I am not Jewish, but my spouse is half Jewish, so I know a little bit about it. I do have a contact at Cameron Senior Center, or formerly Cameron Senior Center, who had done some celebrations of Passover activities at the senior center, so.
I know, right? It's like, it's not real, like, it's not a religious thing. That's why. it's
No,
kind of
I
understood.
I
Yeah, and it
understand.
looks like it was, so started in, just looking, I'm Googling it. Started with George Bush, proclaimed it, 2006. And it was bipartisan group pulled it together, as well as the Jewish Museum of Florida and the South Florida Jewish community. So it seems to be, so 2006, proclaiming a month that would recognize the more than 350-year-old history of Jewish contributions to America and American culture.
And this is the month of,
It's the month of, it's the month of
May.
May, the whole month of May. So it's contributions to American culture, Jewish contributions to American culture. Music, entertainment, sports, arts, the arts, law.
what's interesting,
Dance.
point, it's May, I think it's May 6th, is, we've established January 27th as the National Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Yeah.
But, the Holocaust Museum has May 6th as a Remembrance Day.
What day are they doing?
May 6th,
May 6th.
yeah, May 6th. In 2024, it's based on the Jewish calendar.
Yeah.
2025 is a different day. And then, I'm pretty sure Passover is in April.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it might be a good, podcast to focus on, Passover, and
Contributions to American culture.
And when I was doing some research recently on the local Anti-Defamation League heat map, it seemed like anti-Semitism is the strongest
It's on the rise.
area, like.
Yeah.
I know, like it was colored blue and you wouldn't believe how much blue there was in Massachusetts on the map, so.
it's a surprising thing.
It was surprising to me, and even data like that can,
It's
be surprising.
Well,
important.
Jewish clergy leaders, Rabbi Karen.
Rabbi there. Yeah, or at least Rabbi in Chelmsford. Maybe you and I can talk about this a little bit, think about
Yeah,
how to proceed. But I think it is a good opportunity. In as much as we're where we are. Um,
was there anything else on the calendar?
Well, that was the
That was the
big
that was the
one
big
that
one.
and after seeing the heat map, it all
Yeah,
kind of seems like it might make sense, although like you're saying, I had to do a double take, on the search because it wasn't, I know the religious holidays, but
Right.
that particular one, declaration of May being Jewish American heritage wasn't one known to me, but now it is.
And it's not, I mean, like I said, it's 2006, so it's not just like a new thing.
Yeah.
Maybe there'd be people from the AGL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anti-defamation.
ADL, yeah, because there's an anti.
Defamation.
There are a couple of organizations that.
Went to school.
It's good food for
Gentlemen,
thought.
folks, et cetera.
And if somebody isn't able to join us in the studio, we can pipe them in, we've done it before.
Yep.
Yeah. With an apple, yeah.
Catch 'em in, right?
Joe, can I add one thing? Just, I should have said it in the form, but I forgot.
Go right ahead.
If you're finished on the updates before you go on to new business.
Yeah, let's give it 1 second.
Yeah.
So is it a sense of the group that we can proceed with the podcast related to, May being Jewish American Heritage Month? Joanne and I can, kind of refine that a little bit.
Yeah, that would be interesting to have on there.
Yeah, the
So
focus.
that would be the end of April, and with the May one being Pride.
Yeah, so if we do it in April, then it's leading up to what's gonna happen in May,
Yeah.
and then May. Leading up to June. So. Okay. And thanks, anything else on that? Oh, good, all right.
Sorry, I should have brought your attention specifically because it's a DEI committee in the open forum. The school committee have 6 policies up for public comment at the moment. They were all very outdated from 2001 and they kind of fall into the realm of this group. So if anyone has time over the next 10 days, 11 days left, and you want to go on, you access them through the Westford School Committee webpage. On the sidebar, you'll see policies, public comment, and they are reconsideration of curriculum and instructional materials, library materials selection and adoption, selection of instructional materials, teaching about controversial issues or controversial speakers, and notification of sex education. So, I kind of figured they really fall within the DEI realm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of language updating and also just more procedures and stuff. So if any of you guys want over the next week to, feel free to make any comments or feedback.
And the comments should be provided within that.
So the public comment closes the 11th of April. And there's a form on that page, on the policy page, you just fill it out. It's kind of like a Google form of your address, the comment, the specific policy you want to make a comment or suggestion on and stuff. So
So clarifying question, are they actually new policies?
they're updated. So they're old policies, but some of the, I mean, you'll see it if you go into them. We've dramatically cut and changed. We've even changed some of the names. And in fact, we're amalgamating 2 policies together entirely. So we used to have a separate one for controversial speakers. We're now merging that with the teaching controversial issues. So they're actually quite drastic. We've worked on them for a number of weeks because they were so dense and required a lot of thought and stuff. So thank you. Sorry, I should have done that in the open forum. I completely slipped my mind.
No, it's really good to know, and they do sound interesting, from our perspective.
Well, they would be.
Yeah.
They would be important. And we've really tried, I think, to create a very balanced kind of procedural direction so that everybody kind of knows, how things progress and if there's any issues, how things progress and.
Let me ask people what they think about something. This is an opportunity to offer some input and to help shape from a DEI perspective, the policy, some of which have to do with real things that are sort of core to some of our to our mission, if you will. And I don't know the answer to this. Do we vest one person with collecting the input and then offering the DEI committee input? Or do we just let folks know that they're welcome to review themselves and offer some input? I mean, it could be both, in actual fact, we could offer as residents, or we could offer as a committee. It's more work for someone, but April 11th, I'm happy to help shepherd that.
And well, I suppose that just to give you context, public comment closes. So when we have policies go up, they go up for 3 school committee meetings. So we brought them to school committee meeting Tuesday night. They go live for public comment for 11 days or 12 days, business days. We have a second school committee meeting in the middle of that where we kind of check in. And on our 3rd meeting, which is going to be, I think, is it the 22nd? The 22nd of April. So about a week after the public comment closes, we still have about a week before school committee vote on our final language. So, if you as a DEI committee needs just a little bit more time to kind of come together to kind of give a little bit of feedback for the DEI, you could have a kind of a few days or something before we vote on it.
Anjali had put something in the chat.
Oh. Thank you. I didn't see it. Thank you.
I saw.
Megna is attending because she didn't have the link, so I sent her my link.
So my question, so which would be better received from the school committee end? Does it make a difference if 10 people comment versus DEI?
Either or, I mean, either or, we know who's on the DEI team, so committee, so if we receive any feedback, we know it's coming from you as a group of residents, and we take everybody's suggestion in. I mean, I suppose if you had raised something, you know, in a meeting and had a big discussion about it and felt really strongly, obviously that would really weigh in terms of policy, but I don't necessarily know if there's going to be anything there. That would be, that maybe you would need a full DEI statement behind it.
Go ahead, Maria.
I wonder if it isn't, given the short time frame right now, too cumbersome for one person to do that, because you're gonna take 10 to 12 distinct opinions and you have to meld them together into one without checking back on input and making sure it still reflects what each person is trying to say. And maybe going forward for other ones, we can have a plan, but I wonder if for this one, if we're better off just doing our individual ones.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly would be easier and potentially easier on the person who would be collecting. And it's possible that we would have several people commenting, as you say. It's also possible that not too many. I suppose one approach would be that a couple of people work together on offering sort of the DEI committee, a couple, 3 people with DEI committee perspective. That, you know, that could be one way to go, because that would be a practical matter.
Or another way maybe in the future is we try and make sure our public comment period is like coinciding with one of your meetings, so that we can like put the policies in your packet, and if you want to actually just have a discussion on the night, and I can take feedback in that conversation while it's up, because I don't see how, if they're not up for public comment, they're not available for public release until that point. So we couldn't have a public discussion of our policies until they come out of school committee,
What's the public comment period? How long does it last?
12 business days.
Well, oh, really? So it's fairly short.
It's fairly short, but technically the cycle takes us for about a month to 4 to 5 weeks in total, because it has to take in 3 school committee meetings. Now, again, the other side of it is the subcommittee meet on every other week. And so like we've had Wendy, we've had other parents like who know we're working on policies, and they're always open. We advertise them and people turn up and will give us feedback literally as we're writing. I mean, it's literally myself, Chris and Sean with the laptops open, and we kind of wordsmith a lot. You saw it that day,
Yeah,
Wendy.
yeah.
We go over and back, and those meetings are long meetings. So, there's other ways as well to engage, but I suppose in a formal DEI setting, maybe that's the way of just like in future, if I know these are out for comment, I should send them to you. You include them in the packet. Do you send out the packet beforehand?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, or maybe you just email everybody out saying
Just, with the link.
with the link, yeah, to review in advance.
So what if we disagreed as a committee? Like there were different ideas on certain topics, I'm not sure
I know,
how we handle that.
it does pose potential challenge to have,
Right.
to try to come up with a committee consensus.
These are could be some very controversial issues on
You mean
sex
the issues about controversial issues and controversial speakers? It's literally the
controversial
headline.
issues, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, we've really tried to keep that emotive. Some of what was originally there was very emotive language.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
with policy, you kind of want to give, look, this is a sense of our vision of our values, but this is the process that takes place. If you have an issue, this is what happens. If you want something you need to speak to this person or whatever. So, and give staff guidance. But we were very adamant about being balanced for all.
We
Perspectives.
could, with another year or so, we do this once a year.
Oh, we do this all year. We go,
Oh.
policy go from September right through till June. And we meet every other week for about 2 to 3 hours at a time. Yeah.
Because you're sort of constantly reviewing all of them.
So the first half of this year, we went through every policy and we have over 300 policies and read them just to note whether they're high, medium or low status for DEI with the DEI lens on. And then since January, we were like we identified as a block to really work on. So we've been working on these since January.
I guess there are a couple of things to think about. One is, it might be tough practically. The other is that we could, as a group, develop a general statement related to the principles or the elements of town policy that we think would be important from our perspective, and that would always be available to any.
That's a good idea, kind of a general statement of policies.
Yeah.
That you hope to see.
So that's something we could continue to work on.
I just have a quick question on Catherine. I understand you recognize 300 policies that had to be looked into, and then you kind of bifurcated on what are the areas that are blockers, don't really showcase the inclusion. I think it is too much of a discussion in this moment, but I do have questions on the process and the process improvement with the process improvement hat on my head, right? I was involved in a lot of Kaizens and process improvements in my previous organization. So I'm just thinking, should we set up a time where maybe you can walk me through what the current process is? How do you go about it? Right. And then maybe figure out a way on, it may not be groundbreaking, but just figure out some ways to be more efficient.
Yeah. And it's always ongoing, Anjali, as well. That's the thing, like the policies, yourself, we'll get all the policies updated from 2001 and then we'll have to go back and start again. So it's definitely, you know, a project that's constantly in motion. We will never be finished.
Just a,
Yeah.
question, is Magali, involved in reviewing these?
So anytime we have policies that we're kind of happy that with where they are out of the subcommittee, we figure out who needs feedback, who do we need feedback first? Typically goes to all leadership, so that's Magali, Courtney, Chris Chu, and usually the school principals. They give us feedback before we go to school committee on this one because a number of it included library. And we also asked that the like head library media specialists also reviewed it. And also because some of this would have been curriculum, the curriculum coordinators would also have reviewed it. So we'll usually specify. And they've all had eyes on this before we brought it to school committee as well on Tuesday night.
It might be helpful for us as a committee
Yeah.
to have that preface of who has been
Yeah.
involved, just because as Magali is, Ronan is our DEI schools counterpart, to know that she has had eyes on it and approves it, gives it different meaning to me than if I don't know
I
that.
get you.
Yeah. that makes sense.
The unfortunate thing is Magali won't be with us past June, fortunately.
Is that true?
Her position is one of the positions that we are cutting.
Even
Position being-
with the override?
Even with the override?
Yeah.
She's
Because we
curriculum-
asked for further cuts. We were asked for further cuts by select board. So
I didn't
we are
know that.
going down from 4 to 3. Like directors at central office, and we are changing our curriculum coordinator structure. So we're reducing it
Is that a decision of the school committee and the school government?
At this point,
managers?
yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah,
It is.
Wow.
it's not one that was taken lightly.
Yeah.
But you know, I say this is getting home into budget, but you have to look at what's student facing versus what's not student facing sometimes. And we had already done a number of cuts that were student facing. And when select board asked us to cut by, I think it was a further 800,000 they asked us to do. The next kind of level was to try and look at what we could offset, but what other ongoing reductions we could make. So,
Even with the override, those cuts are.
the override does not solve all our problems at all. We still have to make a number of cuts next year and the year after.
Without having a deep knowledge of the school's budget or
Yeah.
the override process, on the face of it, I'm disappointed. I'm sure you are too.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it. Magali has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I mean, we hope we have an equity audit coming up that Magali's got up and running.
Yeah.
And I think because we've already started the equity work, we're in a strong position to kind of keep that equity work going, and especially because of having the audit. But I will say, as a school committee member, I will definitely be trying to push to ensure that we have quality professional development happening within our equity and universal design for learning and stuff, which Magali was really. So the plan at the moment is that between Courtney, Chris, and Gerard, who's a special education person, they will kind of oversee curriculum instruction and equity. So, I mean, to be honest, curriculum instruction, that probably kind of is going to fall with Courtney, I believe. And I assume the equity, they'll all be taking on components of it across the three of them. And Chris Chu has always said he sees himself as like, you know, the chief, like equity stops with him. It guides him. So I suppose he would be the main person.
I mean, we know that there's a strong commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah.
Across town and school, but it constantly has to be refreshed, and driven sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's And we've all met Meg. She's wonderful.
She's
And has brought a lot to the table. So it's a budget considerations are tough and sometimes brutal. And, like I say, I must say, as the co-chair of this committee, we're just really disappointed. I don't know what the nature of the kind of terribly difficult decisions that the school committee and the superintendent have made. I only hope that process can continue, that she started, that she was part of.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're committed to it. It's in our strategic district improvement plan. And like I said, we've invested in an equity audit. I know I'm passionate about DEI stuff, as is Mari, and I mean, the others are too, but we're definitely committed. But I do completely agree with you when you say about having that person who drives it. And that was definitely Magali. So, it's just the times we're in. I hope longer term, we have the ability to bring that position back. Because I'll be honest, when Dr. Chu first propositioned the idea of equity curriculum instruction, I really couldn't understand what he was seeing. And then I had Magali in front of me at a school committee meeting, and she spoke about, just who she is and everything she stood for, and it just crystallized. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is an amazing position. So I fully believe in it. So I'm not saying we'll never have it back, but we just have to obviously, I mean, we need to bus our kids and pay tuitions and stuff, it has not been an easy few months.
I'm sure.
I don't.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to the extent that we have an opportunity to reflect a little bit on how great it was to work with, is to work with Tom. She's been with a couple of times, I think, she's doing this.
She has, yeah.
And it's always very open and resourceful, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for letting us know.
Sorry to be on such a bummer. I thought I was just doing my politics.
But I didn't know.
Yeah, and I'm sorry you guys missed that. Because it was.
Get announced? or-
It did, so at our school committee meetings, it would have been updated on our slides and everything.
Okay.
When the select board, I mean, because really we have like,
This is probably the last month or so, am I right?
what are we now? March, end of March? Yeah, it probably came up end of February. Yeah. No, it would have come up before that because we had to have final numbers in by the start of March. So it came up through February.
And
Through the FinCom hearings, the decision was made by select board to ask schools to cut by a further, I think it was nearly 800,000. So,
Yeah.
She's known since February that her position was on.
she knew prior to that because anybody, I mean, we have what we call the B budget, which is the no override situation. And I mean, we had Magali's position on that. We, the curriculum coordinators, all the interventionists, like all of that, it's all laid bare on that like bad budget, as I call it. So, and we have been very conscious throughout the process to have conversations with all of these people along the way going, this isn't personal. It's not a reflection of you guys or how we value you. It's just the unfortunate financial situation we're in. And all we can do is move forward and see what happens. And we are very aware, even by town meeting now, that was the unfortunate thing with town meeting not happening on Saturday. We've another month of uncertainty. I think Saturday we would have had maybe some indication of where things were going. But now we've another month, and we're very aware it's really it's unfair to ask of staff to kind of continue waiting. But we know we're also not the only district in the state having these same situations. So, yeah, it's.
Well, we realize that you're not on this committee, but you're also the messenger, so we'll try not to get too hard on you.
No, you're fine. I'm very sorry you weren't kind of aware.
The select board meeting that I went to where they talked about this, it was sort of top line numbers, they didn't get into. the
Yeah.
details.
Select board will never get into school committee, schools budgets in that depth. Unless it's at a FinCom hearing. It's the schools committee meetings is where we go through line by line on budgets, and we're still not done having budget conversations. For our next meeting, they're coming back. We've asked to see a whole model, because now we've kind of gone, it's taken so much time to get to the override budget. Now we're kind of going, well, we need to really start honing in on what our non-override budget looks like, because we haven't dived into that. So like, we're still having conversations. There will be a presentation coming to us in more detail at the next meeting about like what this new intervention model might look like, and the amount of students impacted who will not be getting intervention services if we cannot figure it another way. So the school committee meetings is where we kind of do more. I can send you, I'll get you the most recent slides and share it with you, just to kind of keep you in the loop.
That would be good. That would be really good.
Yeah.
Just two more questions for you. The equity audit is underway.
It's underway.
Magali sent out a note.
Yes.
And we sent a note to the members.
Yeah. I think Madonna, have you been on the? I don't know. I think, is Madonna, are you on the equity audit group?
Oh, you're
she's
muted,
muted.
Madonna. I'm sorry, you're muted. There you go. There you go. Oops, you're muted again.
Hi, sorry. Oh,
I
yeah,
thought,
sorry.
now
I
I'm
was
okay.
trying to, yeah. What was the question? Sorry, I was like trying to figure it out.
No, for Madonna, I think Madonna's on the equity audit group.
Go ahead, Madonna.
I got a letter about it, but it didn't seem that I was invited. Was that you could come if you like, sort of.
That's kind of an invitation, I think.
Oh, okay. It didn't seem like it was like it was something that we were included in. It did seem to like you know.
Okay,
So I didn't go, but
okay.
be happy to go in the future.
Yes, no, it's absolutely for anybody who's on the equity audit group, and they were looking for a few others.
Yeah.
So I did go to the first one.
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
I
Yeah,
didn't go to the second one.
which I was at.
Yeah.
So we were going through, we're at the very, very start of it, where the group who are doing the audit for us are really trying to hone in on what kind of questions
Mhm.
we want to, or what kind of information we want to kind of figure out about Westford. And I mean, you saw Wendy, I think, how many questions they needed us to go through, I think about 7 or 8 sections, but we only got through like 2 or 3 on the first call, because
Right.
you really kind of go through, they give you some suggestions of these are the type of questions, and then they want us to kind of go, well, of those questions, which are your top 2, and do you think maybe this is really something you want to ask, or do you know that information already? So they're very good at saying, we don't want to tell you things you already know.
Mhm.
So,
Madonna's good again.
oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay, I just wondered if I could talk to you at some point, if you could give me a call and we could talk about what's already happening, and maybe we could get together and just meet and find out where we are and what can be done. And I can have a clearer view of what I'm supposed to be in and what I'm not. That would be
No
wonderful.
problem, Madonna. I can pop over to you someday when the kids are in school, if that suits.
That works fine.
Awesome.
It felt over my head.
Oh, I mean, we've got
Yeah.
major, like, research, like these are experts in
Yeah.
researching methods. And it does, I think it takes a while to get your head around, but I think like what essentially is gonna happen is there'll be focus groups, there'll be interviews, they'll look into data we already have. And kind of try and answer the questions that we're kind of posing, but it's a 2-year process with them. They're not in and out.
Yeah.
So, and we have even, because you missed then the second meeting,
Yeah.
even a lot of conversation came up about some of those questions. And even Magali was saying, this sounds like we need to take this feedback and go back and review kind of some of the questions that maybe were posed or suggested, so they're still in the refining
Okay,
stages, so nothing is confirmed, and
Okay.
I assume the next stage is they'll come back going, okay, taking all the feedback, these are the questions we think you guys want, and we'll have another review of those questions before they start going out into the field, so I'll make sure,
So-
Madonna, we drag you along,
Thank
whether
you.
you like it or not.
so you've missed the painful part.
They were complicated. I have memories of my master's research popping up as we were having the conversation.
It's an external firm that.
Yeah, AIR, American Institute of Research, I believe, is their name. They're a national company, but they do a lot of work in a lot of states. They've done a lot of work in Massachusetts, a lot of work with DESI, and they have a Massachusetts office. And who is it? Is it Annie who is on the DEI or used to be on the DEI team or the group is actually,
On our committee.
yeah, she hasn't been here in a while. I know she was here in the last year or two. She actually works for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who are you
So,
talking about, Catherine?
huh?
Who are you talking about?
Annie, I can't think of her last name. I've seen her at some of the older DEI meetings. I
Even
think was she involved with Heining on the education, the survey they did a few years ago?
Are you talking about Yibling? What was her name? Yibling?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yibling?
did she go by
Yeah.
Annie?
I think I
It's
knew that.
possible that she goes by Annie. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
possible. All right.
Yeah,
So it sounds like Madonna will get reconnected. Wendy,
Yeah.
you already are.
yeah.
I'm really glad about that. Thank you. I just wanted to circle
Yeah.
back to the policy.
Yep.
piece. It sounds like as a practical matter, we can as residents with our own sort of DEI lenses.
Yeah.
Comment.
Yep.
When, will there be an opportunity though for these to be sort of talked about at a meeting of the school committee?
They will be available for discussion at the next meeting,
What is that?
Monday week,
Monday?
the 8th. And then they come up for our final vote at our final meeting on April 22nd. And so if you feel like, you know, as a group, you want to make a public comment or anything like that, you can do that at either of those two meetings, but we would vote them on the 22nd to them. And policies are, I mean, if we vote them in and we discover, like we've even
Yeah.
discovered now with this naming policy, we've never used it since it was voted in 2 or 3 years ago, and we're already going, actually, this needs amending. You know, we'll amend it potentially.
I'm sure you're open to comments, even if policies aren't up for
Yeah.
review.
Yeah.
So where's the link gonna be? Will you-
So if you go to the Westford School Committee page, on the left side, there's a bar, and one of the links is policies-public comment. If you go onto that page, it has what's a link to what we call the Airtable. It's our database, so you can just see, you can click on each policy and see. I don't know. Oh, I'm not in the Zoom here. I was about to say, maybe I can share my screen, but I'm not logged into the Zoom.
I didn't, put it.
Oh, you put it up the link
Yeah.
there, awesome.
Well, thank you.
And so you can read them there, make some notes, and there's a link on that page to a form. You fill out the form, it's like a Google form. And it actually populates on the Airtable. So if you send it, I'll be able to see any public comments that get made, so that when we close comments.
Should I share my screen to show that?
If you want to.
I think, would that be helpful?
I think we should watch time. I'm familiar with giving their agenda.
Filling, yeah. Well, you know that rule, you've got time, you fill it, but you're right. You
Yeah.
should.
Yes.
All right. One last question.
Yeah.
This decision related to the equity curriculum director,
Mm-hmm.
that's final? Is that final? I just, it's a matter of due diligence, I just want to ask.
I suppose nothing's final in the sense that we don't have a definitive budget for the end of this year. If it's something that you want to propose a change of, you can always make a suggestion. The only thing that I would say is when you do that, and I know from my own experience, because when I don't necessarily agree, and there's a lot of stuff, you know, I always come back with, the interventionist being one of them at the moment. Personally, you know, I don't speak for school committee on that, is, okay, well, if you want to keep this position, this is the salary. Where in the budget do you suggest you could find this? So it's, I mean, we know you want to keep the equity position, equity director position. But it is always really helpful to kind of have that other suggestion of, well, how do you think we can solve that issue? So.
Thank you.
No.
Anything else on topics? Thank you for
No, I'm,
updating us.
no problem. Sorry, I didn't do it in the forum, but it popped into my head.
That's okay.
I'm struggling through migraines today, so
Good to know. Good to know.
doing our best.
And we'll check in before the next meeting anyway, just. to make sure
Definitely, John.
everything's-
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move to new business. That's all right
Mhm.
with everybody? Good, good. There's two items under new business. The first one is Juneteenth recognition. Wendy has prepared some information and, you know, I think what we're looking at is an opportunity to recognize Juneteenth, understand a little bit better, but do it in a way that we're able to, given where we are in the year. Please, Wendy, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Happy to. So, just a little bit of background. I know, Juneteenth may not be on everybody's radar as a holiday since it was declared Massachusetts holiday in just in 2020, so not that long ago. And in 2023, it was declared a US federal holiday. And I know from other groups that I'm involved in, just last year when things in Westford were closed, that brought it up to a lot of people who hadn't realized, like, they were like, why is town hall closed? Why is the library closed? And so that shows you what impact it has that we have a holiday, because it does bring it to a lot of people's attention and awareness. Joe kindly gave out a flyer from the New York Times, article from the New York Times about the history of the holiday. And I'm not gonna go through the full thing, but basically, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, and it took so long to get to areas of Texas that it was pretty much 2 years since he had declared slaves free, and the information long overdue finally got to, I believe, areas of Texas on June 19th. And so that is the significance of the history, June 19th, 1865.
2.5 years after the emancipation.
2.5 years, right? So people were free on paper, but not free.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an important item in our history, and
Sort of let you know what, how
Acknowledge.
important awareness is, right? I mean, it's sort
Yeah.
of the classic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So one idea proposal, and this is becoming very common in towns around us, is to do flag raising. So this would be very similar to what we're doing for the pride flag, where we would I would expect we would have a 1-day flag raising, since that seems what the select board is comfortable with. We would just need to purchase the flag, which is about $35. And then we would have to decide on a day. So now we're getting into, the Saturday before Juneteenth is the Acton Westford Pride, and we will have the gay pride flag going up Saturday. That's not to say we can't do two at the same time, that's fine. But we may want to do an event with the flag raising, where on the application, you can decide to have a ceremony. And so that would, for the gay pride, we're not doing the ceremony. So that would be something to be considered. The Strawberry Festival is that Saturday before, so I've already been alerted that people will be busy in the town common on that Saturday. Sunday is Father's Day, so that doesn't leave us a lot of other days, so it's the Westford schools, I'm told, are closing for the summer on June 17th.
Yes.
The Monday. So this could be just a couple of days after if we did keep with the 19th.
Isn't it a federal holiday, like everyone's closed, so could you do
Yeah.
the ceremony on the day?
Yep. Yeah.
'Cause there's a number, like, Memorial Day, there's a number of
Yeah.
days where we do like the veterans and stuff on the day.
Yeah.
Right, right.
We were talking about, and when I was talking earlier on the phone about this and flag raising, and it also is potentially an opportunity, again, sort of being modest in our expectations, to have potentially a speaker
Yeah.
that day. A couple of people come to mind. The author of Leslie Howard, and then there's who's the fellow in town.
Officer Anthony Bernardin is
We've not approached at all or anything like that.
no,
He's the school resource
He's the
officer.
school
Very nice man.
resource officer,
Very nice
and
man.
recently has started the Black Pride group in Westford Academy.
No way.
Yep,
Awesome.
they've met twice already, so
Awesome.
that seems to make a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
I have reached out to him, but I didn't have any idea exactly of what we're
Yeah.
what we're talking about
doing, yeah.
doing, so.
Yeah.
So those are some ideas.
Yeah.
So. Is it okay if I move on to another slide, Joe?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So just wanted to, there's lots of towns, I can send folks these lists of local areas that are doing flag raising or some kind of observations. Big observations in Boston, Lowell, Worcester, as people would expect, but lots of flag raisings, areas near us, Worcester, Dedham, Melrose, Fitchburg, Framingham, Wayland, Medfield, Medway, Sturbridge, Concord, Sudbury, Ashland, Woburn, so
Concord is doing something?
Concord is, yep, they are actually doing quite a lot, and,
Because they do a lot of the Black Revolutionary.
yeah, yes.
Revolutionary War soldiers and the, yeah, so there's a lot of them.
So they are doing a lot of
Yeah.
DEI work on understanding their history better of slavery and
Right.
those who served. Idea number 2 is there's a woman, Leslie Howard, who wrote an ebook. She had went for a grant where she was able to do this historic work on finding out more about slavery in Westford. And there is a doll named Peggy in as one of the dolls of Westford collection. And she represents a slave that was owned by a Westfordian person. So there are ideas. Have reached out to Leslie, and she would be available on June 19th. And her speaking fee is $300. She is giving a presentation the month before at the Westford Museum on her ebook and slavery in Westford, so it would probably be very close in that content. But it seemed to make a lot of sense. We would have to decide where we would want to gather for an event. If we would want to rent someplace, if the Westford Museum's large enough, if the library would host us.
Even like,
Road and Bush,
meeting room in First Parish,
First Parish, yeah,
come together with their mission
right,
as well.
right. So, so that is something I think it's a very strong contender in my mind, since she's done all the research and the slavery, and it all makes a lot of sense to find out. And
Did she say that she was available? I'm sorry, did you say that you spoke to her?
she's available on the 19th. Yep.
The downside is she will already have been in town.
Yeah.
The month before.
Yeah, I think she's giving a talk at the Westford Museum. She's actually president of the Westford Historical Society.
So she could take kind of all the people who are gonna see her, probably are gonna see her that day. I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe.
That's possible. I registered for it. I think there's a limited number of
Yeah.
seats.
Yeah.
So that's the limitation I see, is that they're having people register for that talk.
Unless if you're doing the flag raising ceremony.
Right.
And the speaker, maybe she could just read an excerpt from the book or something like that, or.
Yep. That was,
Right, she could be part of the ceremony.
Yeah,
that was another thing that Joe and I were kind of brainstorming on, but that is a great idea.
It could be, and also, again, we need to check in with the officer about his participation too, so maybe we'd have two people.
Yeah.
It's true, time is short, but
Yeah.
we may want to decide or authorize Wendy and I to continue with this process. And with the goal of being able to raise the flag with some kind of ceremony. For Juneteenth. And it does come after June 15th. It's the next, it's just a few days later, but still, there's enough of a distance, and it is a national holiday. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to give it a try, and then again, that's sort of like working up to maybe next year we'll do
Right.
more.
Right.
I personally think it's great to look into having the two of them, because, representation really matters.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially somebody who works with the school, in schools, I like that. And
Yeah.
having somebody with the history of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were we to seek to raise the flag, we would need to get authorization from the town, yes.
Select board. Yeah,
Okay, so we would need a motion to make that request. And I think the motion itself could be simply to make that request of select board. As to raise a flag as part of a ceremony. There's details we will continue to work out. Anybody on my screen have a question?
I'm wondering, you're gonna make a motion, but are you making a motion to to have this person pay them $300 to speak when they raise the flag, or what's the motion? I don't,
Good question.
I
Motion-
don't really see, like, I think it's great if she's gonna do it at the museum, but I don't see the addition of paying somebody $300 and then who's gonna pay her and, all of that.
I'm sure we could get donations.
She's also the Westford.
Or even the town may have
Yeah.
a resource.
Conversation.
But if she's already speaking at the at the museum,
I'll be honest, I
why
would
does she
read-
have to speak,
do think if you're president of the Westford Historical Society, charging a fee.
On Juneteenth.
On
Here on
Juneteenth.
town.
Yeah.
It feels a little odd.
Yeah, when
I'm sure it's
she's
for
got a
business.
book that
It's for
she can,
business.
yeah,
It's for
yeah.
business, that's fair.
But she may agree to speak if she can, have a QR code where you can like buy her book or something like that.
I think that's a good idea. Like, I was thinking like if she read something from her book and then it gives her an opportunity to promote that. I don't know. I just don't think it's appropriate, not appropriate, but I don't see paying her $300 to talk
Madonna?
when she has a book.
She, I've had the privilege of working with her in the past, and she is really very, very, very interesting to talk to. And she has done a lot of research in many ways. And she's very cooperative. I'm sure that we can work out something.
Yeah,
I do side by what Cynthia is saying though. So is she going to already speak with them at the museum for free? Is that what the question is? Like, do we want to have her speak again and then pay her $300? Right? The value of money. I think that's a good question, value of money.
I think the scenario that we're talking about is she's speaking, I don't know if she's being paid or not, but she's speaking at the museum in May. Well, and because of that, we think that her participating in a ceremony, which would not be a speaking engagement per se, it wouldn't be a talk. That seems to make sense in terms of our participation on Juneteenth. So we're not seeking sort of a lecture or talk, but we're seeking her to participate for a short time in a ceremony.
And you go into the select board, you're only asking permission for the flag raising and ceremony. You don't have to have the details or the speakers or anything ironed out
Oh, okay.
in
Yeah.
advance for that per se.
Okay. They might be curious about it, but we don't.
Yeah, you can,
So we're working on it.
Yeah.
All right, so it sounds like the motion is pretty straightforward. That we would seek permission to raise a flag from the select board. Does that sound right? As a motion?
And also have a ceremony,
Ceremony.
because that, there's two different
Which would be accompanied by a
things,
ceremony.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, Madonna. Second,
Second.
Joanne, second. Very good. Thank you. All right, let's take a vote. All right, I'll call a vote. Angeli,
Yes.
yeah, thank you. Joanne,
Yes.
very clear.
Yes.
Cynthia,
yes.
Meghna,
Yes, I just, before I say yes, can you just tell me this question again? It's not about paying $300, right? Like, it's just about being part of the flag raise.
that's right. It's not about the $300. It's about raising the flag, permission to raise the flag and have a ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yes, for
Very good.
that.
Thank you, Patricia.
Yes,
You, Heine,
Yes.
Madonna,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes,
Joe, Diamond, yes. Did I miss anybody? And Catherine, I wish you could vote.
that's all.
Oh, Mary Claire, I get it, yeah. All right, so the ayes have it. Great. So, I'll reach out. I'll reach out to the select board, and then Wendy, one of us can go on those, whenever they.
Yeah. Mhm.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you again for your initiative on this.
Can I just add one thing? I did a little research as well when I saw it on the agenda, and the National Museum of African American History and Culture, which if no one, if you haven't been there, yeah, I really don't have
Is
the
that the
words
one
for
in
it.
DC?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I wasn't able to get tickets.
It's fun,
yeah, but they have a Juneteenth digital toolkit,
Oh,
which I thought had some interesting things in there. That's interesting, you know, maybe for us to grow with or something,
mhm.
Or link to or something.
yeah. Yeah,
Would that be appropriate for the calendar? Do we link from the calendar? Do we have that?
Yes.
We do?
Yeah.
What's it called, a digital toolkit?
do digital toolkit, yeah.
I think Pat has a question.
Well,
Yes,
thank
actually, I have a book that I found really, really good. If you want to read a little further on the holiday. It's called On Juneteenth, and it's Annette Gordon Reed, and I've heard her speak. She's really good.
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard about her.
Yeah. So this is good.
Is that, so this is your DEI book club recommendation? Yes,
Yes,
That would be fun.
and more reading, right?
very good. And that Gordon Reed, thank you. All right, anything else on this topic? Very good for the moment. All right, thank you. The last item is mission statement. This is sort of a pet item for me. After now 3 years, and we have a very clear charge, but that's a little different than a mission statement. And so I would like a volunteer or two to work with me on a process, which won't be too cumbersome, to, as a group, develop a mission statement for the DEI. Which, you know, we don't have to have a timeline, thank you, Joanne. But I think it'd be a good exercise for us. So Joanne and Joe, anybody else? And certainly you can reach out to me later if you like. Thank you. So Joe, Pat, and Joanne.
I'll jump in if that's not too many people.
No, I think it's.
Okay.
It's good.
I'm happy to wordsmith it as well. You want to wordsmith it? You'd be all right. I'm good at it. But I'm happy to be involved as well, but I don't want the group to get too cumbersome. So you can add me as needed.
Did you,
All right, so
I'd like to be involved.
America.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
Maybe there's a core team and then another team, or a core team and then we bring it to.
so we're looking for, yeah, so good point. So we're looking for expressions of interest and maybe we'll figure out a way to organize all of us.
Yeah.
So far, Joe, Joanne, Pat, Wendy, Claire, and Madonna.
Yep, and I have a background on these things, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. All right,
I'd like to join too, Joe.
all right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it's,
Big group.
yeah, well, there's,
Big
I mean,
group.
it wouldn't, even if there were 3 people, it's not gonna be 3 people coming up with a mission and presenting it to the group. But with this amount of interest, it could be good to do something a little bit more broader. more
Yeah,
inclusive.
the process.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm glad there's interest.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out a way to approach this. All right. Thank you. That's it for new business. We are ready to approve the past meeting minutes. Certainly, if something has come up in someone's mind that it's not in it, then we can certainly bring it up. But we are at that point.
I sent some edits. I don't know if they were-
I did include them. Yeah. Thank you very much. We've got 2 sets of minutes, so from February 28th and from March 11th. Let's start with February 28th. And Angeli, seeing we're here, I would say that Actually, I think somebody else is taking on the old net, so I think we're almost up to date. So let's start with February 28th. Any adjustments or changes to the February 28th minutes? I didn't get any feedback from email. Oh, I did get one. So February 28th minutes, any changes or adjustments?
There were some typos, I didn't send to you.
There are.
Yeah. Are there still typos?
Do you want
In
to
this?
show me?
Yeah, so, call to order, second sentence, he then read a Lang, acknowledgement should be Lang.
Thank you.
And then the second. full
Past and
sentence,
present.
Yeah, it should be a PAST. You see it?
Yep, yep. There you go. Thank you for catching it. Go through the roll for minutes.
I don't believe so. We don't.
Any other changes to February 28th minutes? All right, do I have a motion to accept them?
So moved.
Thank you. All right, can I have a second?
Second.
Third.
All right. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, so the ayes have it, so the minutes are accepted. March 11th, I did get Joanne's edits to the March 11th minutes. Any changes, typos, revisions, etc.? Do I have a motion to accept them?
So moved.
Very clear. Second?
Aye.
Joanne,
Second.
very good. And all those in favor of accepting these minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, they're accepted. All right, very good. Thank you very much. I believe we're up to date. Virtually up to date on minutes, which is, we'll get that official count next time, I think we're close. The next meeting will be the 24th of April, which is the last Wednesday.
Joe, I just have a quick question. I had sent the meeting minutes, which were for 2 more days, just before the meeting, like 20 minutes before. I think nobody had really time to pull them, but if you are online and if you could pull it up, we could. It's very simple. There isn't really many detail. If we want to approve them and review them next time, that's fine. If you want to do them tonight, that's fine as well. Whatever works for the team.
Let's do the next time.
Yeah.
People get a chance to review. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's fine. All right, but thank you for doing that. All right. Next meeting, April 24th. Anything else? We'll follow up with some notes. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
You can make the motion.
All right.
Very good. Very good. So, and so we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
I know. It's easy to.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
I love
Wendy, you have these.
Thank you very much.
Actually ran out. Because it ran out while